Hey book lovers, welcome to While I Read. I'm Katie Dodrell and today I'll be talking about destination thrillers. In case you're not familiar with that subgenre, a destination thriller is a thriller set in an exotic or unusual location, like a tropical island or a remote ski lodge or a beautiful hiking trail. Destination thrillers have been around for a while, and they seem to have had a resurgence during and since the COVID lockdowns. During COVID, we couldn't go anywhere, and so people liked reading these destination thrillers about people in fun locations. Now that COVID is over and we can travel again, it's still fun to read about people visiting these exotic places. Today, I'm going to tell you about 10 of my very favorite destination thrillers. These books feature exciting plots and beautiful exotic locations. They'll make you want to travel, but even if you're not going anywhere right now, they'll make you feel like you're there. So let's get started. First, let's talk about The Hike by Lucy Clarke. This book is about four female friends who meet up every year for a long weekend getaway. Usually they just relax on a beach somewhere, but this year they're going on a hike in a remote area of Norway. We know from the beginning of the book that one of the friends ends up dead. So throughout the book, we're wondering who is going to die and how it's going to happen. The hike involves climbing a mountain in a very isolated area, and Lucy Clarke does a great job of using the beautiful but dangerous scenery to build tension. There are descriptions of deserted woodlands, a peaceful lake, a big storm, just everything you could want for excitement. The uneasiness escalates throughout this book, and you just can't stop turning pages. You have to find out what happens. Chapters alternate among the women's points of view, as well as following some other people that they meet on their hike. It's an exciting, atmospheric book set in an absolutely beautiful area, the perfect destination thriller. Next, let's talk about The Club by Ellery Lloyd. This book is about a chain of ultra luxurious vacation destinations for the ultra rich, like celebrities and other just very rich people. The owners are opening their newest location, which is called Island Home, on an island off the coast of England. The story takes place during the 3-day launch party as the Island Home opens. Everyone wants an invitation to this event. In fact, people would kill for an invitation. And there actually is some killing going on as secrets are revealed about the owners of the island home as well as the celebrities who are there. The book is told from alternating viewpoints of 5 characters. It's got great description of the beautiful island accommodations, which at first feel so luxurious, but quickly start to feel isolating and trapped. The beauty of the area combined with the menacing sense of danger make this a great destination thriller. The next book on my list is The Fury by Michaelides. The Fury is about a group of friends on a weekend trip to a Greek island. It's a private island owned by Lana Farrer, who is a famous movie star, now in her 40s and retired, but still very much in the public eye. Our narrator is Elliot Chase, who is a playwright friend of Lana's. And he tells us from the beginning that during that seemingly idyllic weekend on the island, someone is murdered. So throughout the book, we're wondering who's murdered, how does it happen, and who is the murderer. Also on the island is another actress friend of Lena's named Kate. And then there's also her son, a caretaker, a housekeeper. They're all on the, oh, and Lena's husband, I can't forget him. They're all on the island together for this weekend. There are various secrets and tensions. There are beautiful descriptions of hikes on the island, picnics on the beach, a boat ride to a neighboring island for dinner. Everything is just gorgeous to imagine. Just everything you would want from a private island in Greece. But then the island gets cut off by the wind and someone is murdered. The book is very exciting, extremely twisty, and it really makes you imagine this beautiful island where everything is the height of luxury, but is also extremely dangerous. For the next destination thriller, I'm taking things back a few years, back all the way to 1965, to This Rough Magic by Mary Stewart. In my mind, Mary Stewart is the original queen of the destination thriller. I've never heard anyone else say that, so I'm going on the record as making that proclamation. Mary Stewart was the most popular through the 1950s, through probably the 1970s. And many of her books feature a heroine in her 20s in some neat location. Everywhere from the island of Skye to a small village in France to a palace in Lebanon. So definitely the definition of a destination thriller, right? So I could have picked almost any Mary Stewart book for this list, but I chose This Rough Magic. If you're a Shakespeare fan, you may recognize This Rough Magic as a quote from The Tempest. And that's because the book takes place on the Greek island of Corfu, which is widely believed to be where The Tempest takes place. Our heroine in this book is Lucy, who is a down-on-her-luck actress who is staying with her sister in the family home on the island. Lucy is enjoying a relaxing holiday and she finds a beautiful sheltered bay where she can swim in the ocean. And while she's swimming, a friendly dolphin joins her. But then some strange things start happening. To begin with, someone starts shooting at the dolphin, almost hitting Lucy. And then later, a body washes up on shore. So, of course, Lucy gets involved in trying to figure out what's going on. Mary Stewart's descriptions of this beautiful, sun-drenched island are just great. And if you've read The Tempest, you'll enjoy the references to it. If you haven't read The Tempest, you're still going to enjoy this book. It's just a very suspenseful, fun mystery. So, I may be the first one, maybe the only one, to call this a destination thriller, but it's one of the first destination thrillers that I read, and I absolutely love this book. Next, let's talk about The Weekend Away by Sarah Alderson. This book is about a woman named Orla who goes on a weekend trip with her best friend Kate. Orla is a new mom, so she's excited but also nervous to have a little break away from her responsibilities as a mother, which is a feeling that I can relate to. So she and Kate are going to Lisbon, Portugal. They have a nice apartment rented and they have all kinds of fun activities planned for their weekend. Their first night there, they have a night out that gets a little wilder than Orla was anticipating. When she wakes up the next morning, Kate is gone. Her wallet and her passport are still in the apartment. So Orla has no idea where Kate is. She tries to tell the police, but they brush her off. Orla can't really remember that much about the night before. She does suspect that she might have been drugged, that maybe Kate was drugged too. So she starts searching this unfamiliar city for her friend. She's looking everywhere. She has some people who are helping her, like their Uber driver from the night before, but you're not sure if this guy is a good guy or a bad guy. There are also some other creepy characters, like their landlord, some guys that they met on their night out. So Orla is desperately trying to figure out what happened to Kate. The book does a great job of ramping up the tension as you see Orla desperately running around this city. It's kind of like she's in a maze trying to figure out what happened. And she's also worrying about her husband and baby back home. So it's a really suspenseful, fun destination thriller. Next, I'll talk about The Lodge by Miranda Rijks. And I hope I'm pronouncing that author's last name right. It's Rijks. This book is about a woman named Anna and her fiance Joel. Joel is a veterinarian and he has just been offered his dream job as a vet for a safari lodge in South Africa. So Anna and Joel go to this beautiful, isolated lodge for Joel to learn more about what he would be doing there if he takes this job. They get to stay in the luxurious guest accommodations. They get to ride out on safaris where they see animals like elephants, giraffes, and lions. But when they arrive at the lodge, Anna finds out that her ex-boyfriend Clayton is there with his new girlfriend. Clayton was abusive and controlling, and Anna just knows that something strange is going on. It just seems too big of a coincidence that he would also be there at this isolated lodge. But Clayton claims he had no idea that she would be there. He really just seems to be ignoring her. So Anna does her best to just relax and enjoy the trip. But of course, things start going wrong. This was a very exciting thriller with awesome descriptions of the luxurious lodge, the South African landscape, the animals that they see. I have to say that I didn't love the characters in this book because they make some very bad decisions that it's hard to ignore. But the beautiful descriptions and the talk pacing made up for that for me. The next destination thriller I'll talk about is Shiver by Allie Reynolds. This book is about a group of friends at a resort in the French Alps. Shiver is the perfect name for it because as you read it, you shiver from the cold and maybe a little bit from fear too. This book is about 5 friends who come back to this ski resort for a reunion. 10 years ago, they were there at this resort training for an elite snowboard competition. But one member of that group from 10 years ago is not back, a woman named Saskia. She disappeared at the end of their time 10 years ago. No one knows what happened to her. So our main character, Mila, is there at the resort and she's excited to meet up with her friends from so long ago, but they've also got this terrible event from the past hanging over them. Soon after they arrive at the resort, they realize that things are not right, everything is not as it seems, and somebody has some pretty terrible plans for the members of this group. They end up trapped at the resort trying to figure out who brought them there and why. The book has great descriptions of the cold, snowy resort. I also found the snowboarding parts really exciting and fun to read. The author, Allie Reynolds, was actually a snowboarder herself, so she knows what she's talking about in describing this sport. She really makes you feel like you're out in the snow with the characters as you read. So this was just a very tense, atmospheric, fun destination thriller. The next book I'll talk about is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Many of Lucy Foley's books take places in cool locations. The one that I chose for this list is The Guest List, which is set on an island off the coast of Ireland. People are on this island for a wedding, and as in all Lucy Foley books, we get multiple points of view, including the wedding planner, the bride or bridezilla, members of the wedding party, as well as other wedding guests. The island is difficult to access through a rough, wavy sea, and cell phone service is spotty, so we have a deliciously isolated setting. During the ceremony, the lights go off, screams are heard, and when the lights come back on, someone is dead. So all the characters are trying to figure out what's going on. Of course, they all have secrets, and we, the readers, are trying to figure out who the murderer is and why. This book is so claustrophobic and tense, as the characters are essentially trapped in this luxurious but isolated and dangerous setting. It's definitely a slow burn book with short chapters that keep you reading quickly so you can find out what happens next. Very tense and atmospheric destination thriller. Next, I'll talk about The Chateau by Jaclyn Goldis. This book is set in the south of France, in Provence, and I'll go ahead and apologize because I'm probably going to pronounce all of the French words and names incorrectly, so I'm sorry about that. It's about 4 women who have returned to this chateau for a reunion. 3 of the women, Darcy, Jade, and Vix, met during a study abroad trip in France, and they spent a lot of weekends at this chateau during that trip because it is Darcy's grandmother's chateau. At the chateau, they became friends with Arabelle, who is the daughter of the chateau's housekeeper, or maybe the granddaughter of the chateau's housekeeper. So anyway, they all met 20 years ago, and now 20 years later, the owner of the chateau, Darcy's grandmother, Seraphine, has invited them back to visit. The chateau is luxurious, the French countryside is beautiful, but while the women are there, a murder happens, and lots of new and old secrets come to light. The chateau is almost a character in its own right, and like the women, it has lots of mysterious secrets from the past that have been kept buried but are going to be uncovered during this book. The book is told from multiple points of view of the 4 women, and the descriptions of the chateau in the south of France are the best parts of it to me. It's another fun destination thriller. Last, I'll talk about a very recent book, One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. This book is about a woman named Lila, a scientist, whose boyfriend Nico talks her into going on a reality show that's filmed at a remote island in the Indian Ocean. The beautiful pictures of the island are one of the main things that convince Lila to go on the reality show, but once she and Nico arrive on the island, they find that things are not as idyllic as they seem. Of course, the other contestants on the show are out to win, and Lila and Nico have to deal with these competitive couples. But soon after they arrive on the island, a huge storm comes and strands the contestants there with no way off of the island. Lila finds herself in a survival situation, and she's fighting against not just nature and the hunger and thirst that come from being stranded on a desert island, but also against human forces, against people who are trying to gain power and control in a bad situation. This is a great destination thriller about how this beautiful island can also be very dangerous and have some dangerous people on it. It seems like paradise, but the very things that make it so beautiful and special, especially its isolation, are the same things that make it so dangerous. So there you have it, 10 destination thrillers. I love thrillers, and when they're set in exotic, fun locations, that makes them even better. Please let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, or if you have any destination thrillers that you'd recommend for me. As always, if you liked this video and want more book recommendations and reviews, please subscribe to my channel. Now, go catch a plane while I read.